Okay, so most of you don't know Tina Porter, who is a yoga teacher here in town, good friend of mine. And her son was just diagnosed with an inoperable malignant brain tumor. And, when you hear terrible news like this, and not to bring the energy down, but to have this sense of holding. I want to talk about compassion. That's really what this is all about. It's brought it up in me this morning of how do you hold such intense pain of someone you love, or maybe someone you don't know at all. Maybe it's someone that you've only heard about halfway across the world, and to learn how to flex your compassion muscles is a really important thing. So I mentioned Tina because if any of you have a prayer practice or an intention, energy giving practice, I would ask for you to add Brody is his name to your list um, of prayers. He's a young teenage boy here in Denver, lovely young man. Anyway, but on the more broad scope, I couldn't find it. One of the hospice nurses I'm working with, his name is Jim. He sent an email out and I must have deleted it. I tried to find it this morning, but it was a description of what compassion really is. And he talked a lot about how it's strong work to be compassionate, to hold other people's suffering, your own suffering, other people's suffering very fully, where you're not kind of denying or pushing away the pain, but really holding, is a gift that we can give the world if we are strong enough to cultivate that within ourselves. And in order to do that, we need to have respite from it as well. We need to have ways of replenishment and renewal, and to let the sunshine and joy to come into our heart instead of breaking our heart. The beautiful thing about breaking your heart open is that it lets everything in. So it can let vulnerability and suffering in, but it can also let intense connection and love and joy in as well. And you really can't have one fully without the other. That a full open heart requires the capacity to hold both. And so if we're learning how to be compassionate, how to hold compassion in our world, there's lots of things we can do. We're going to do a Tonglen meditation today, which I know we've done lots in this class before. And there's many, I've been taught a very specific way of doing it, but there's my feeling on open-hearted, compassionate meditations is that whatever's going to open you up is the best way to bring that energy forth. So you can follow my lead, or you can choose something different. But in order for us to really be able to hold space for that level of suffering for ourselves and others, we have to cultivate resiliency in our heart. And that means we have to bring in joy. So yesterday's practice, I don't know how many of you were here yesterday. We did some heart opening, and we're going to kind of keep on that thread a little bit today, but kind of working through the sides of the body. A lot of times when we are holding something tight, we shrink, and it can be chest shrinking, but it can also be breath shrinking, where we kind of lock in and don't allow that fullness of our fluidity to come. And one of the ways that we build resiliency to hold this kind of compassion is to have things move through you instead of get stuck in you. So the more we work with breath, and the more we work with moving our body so that we become the channel, the vessel of love, instead of kind of letting things stick all around and in us where we get stuck. This is a great way to be able to enhance your capacity to stay present for the suffering of others. Anyone who's done work in the healing realms, or worked with children, or worked with anyone who is suffering for a long period of time, knows that burnout is a real thing, and that in order to protect ourselves from that, we need to learn how to flow. We need to learn how to let things go. We need to learn how to have energy move through us, and be the vessel. So just as we are not required to hold, we also are not the giver. We are just the conduit of compassionate energy. So let's use that for both receiving and giving love and joy all around us. So let's go ahead and close your eyes and think about the ways in which you are able to hold vulnerability, suffering, pain, other people's, your own, the global feeling of this. And know where you already, have some good, strong muscles built up in this way. And maybe ways also in which you don't feel very strong. Maybe when something you hear about something very specific, it's difficult for you to stay present for it and hold it, and that's okay. So don't add guilt and shame on top of all of this that's already challenging. So whatever is difficult for you to hold, see if you can just acknowledge what that is for you, so that your awareness grows. So let's sit now with the breath. This moment in time where we have just this moment. What's here for you? How do you cultivate a sense of spacious open-heartedness? Can you feel that you are a conduit? Even the breath can give you this sense where we are not so solid, we are not so stuck, but that we receive energy and we give energy. So notice this through your breathing. If you are attuned to the feeling of energy in your body, notice it in your energy field. Align your spine. Feel a sense of stout uprightness combined with soft, supple ease. And as you sit with an open heart, see if you can let all the chambers imagine that your heart is just this big, wide open space, that it's not a little locked cage inside your chest. There's so much room to hold both compassion for those who are suffering, gladness for those who are joyful, indifference for those who are struggling along with bad behavior. A sense of deep joy for all the beauty that you see. All these things are encompassed in the heart, that it's not just one thing. So make so much space that there's room for all of it. And then as you are ready to hone in on someone in your life who is struggling in some way, maybe it's someone you love who is unwell, maybe it's someone who is struggling with the virus, maybe someone whose life has been deeply impacted by the virus, maybe it's someone halfway around the world that you read about in the news today. So whoever, try to hone in on a person or a group of people and see if you can make room for them in this big open space of your heart. And we don't have to lock in. We're not, they're not a target that we're drawing our attention onto, but rather we are inviting them into this big open space inside of our heart. And when you invite them into your heart room, swirl all your joy around them. So let the windows of your heart be open so all things come in. Love comes in, compassion comes in, joy comes in. The ability to be present for all the pain and suffering comes in. All that kind of swirls together, so there's no attachment. And the one steadiness that's held in all of this space is your deep presence. And what is it? What is the essence of your presence? What do you feel? Is it a sound? Is it an image? Is it a sensation in your body? Is it a thought in your mind? See if you can hone in on what your presence feels like in this moment. And whatever it is, concentrate that into your heart space and offer this toward whoever you're intending your energy toward in your class today. Find your breath again. Find the big expanse, the flowing energy. And whoever your intentions are for today, maybe it's yourself, maybe your intentions are for yourself. Can you create just a simple little mantra, just a simple thing? It could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be an image, it can be a breath, it can be anything. See if you can just hone some sort of concentrated intention for this person. And notice already that you have begun to flex your compassion muscles and that you're capable of this big open space. And then finally, before we start to move, notice what your presence and your commitment to holding this person, do you feel connected? Is there a gift in this that you're receiving? In this way, our open heart and our presence feeds us just as much as it feeds another. Place your palms, seal this intention. If you have a mantra or a thought or an image, let's work with this in our practice. Just keep conjuring it up when you can and offer your energy. And then let's release our hands and come onto our back. Okay, so remember your practice is your way of rejuvenating. So feel that flow of give and receive. Come into your body now and stretch your arms overhead and lengthen. What does it feel like to reach through the left, to reach through the right, to find a sense of openness through the sides of the body? And then bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a hug. Rock around a little bit and bring your breath into your physical form. So how do you feel? How can you bring the presence that you've been cultivating in that little meditation into the presence inside your body, inside your breath, this moment? Okay, right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Wiggle out the toes, stretch through your ankles. Feel some movement through your calves, your shins, the sides of your shins. Feel the compression in the hip. And then switch sides, left knee in, right leg long on the floor, same thing. Wiggle some toes, wiggle some ankles. Feel free to move your hip around, find whatever feels good. Extending the spine, staying with the breath. So pay attention if you don't breathe well for your practice, if that's your tendency, which is very common to be a breath holder or a shrinker upper of breath. See what you can do to keep this big, giant open space of the heart and the chest through your breath in your practice. Feet on the floor wider than the hips. Let's begin to just windshield wiper. And maybe you want to drag the second leg slower so that you end up kind of like in a little Supta Baddha Konasana before the other leg comes around. Let the following leg begrudgingly follow the leader. How's your breath? And then pause in Supta Baddha Konasana just for a moment. You can always grab your blocks and stick it underneath your knees. We won't be here long, so if you are comfortable just letting your legs hang for a moment, just notice that. Stretch your arms overhead. Feel the length through the body, the openness in the belly, the pelvis, the ribs. And bring the knees into the chest. Hug up, squeeze in, use some muscular strength. Inhale, open up into a starfish. Big open chest, open breath. Exhale, knees into the chest, chin up. One more time. Feel the fullness of your body. Open your heart, spread your wings. Exhale, knees into the chest. Come over onto your side. Come up onto your hands and your knees. And let's find our way into some cat-cows. So finding that sense of arching and rounding the spine. Noticing what's here, what's available to your body in movement. How is your breath facilitating the movement? Pay attention to your thoracic spine in particular. See if you can spread the shoulder blades apart as you round the back. Feel the heart open, shoulder blades moving toward each other. And feel free to move things around any way that feels good. You can swirl through your hips, you can move through your shoulders, finding your breath, spin around your head, anything that feels good. And then go ahead and release back towards child's pose. Stretch your arms out in front of you and just see what your side bodies are feeling. If your shoulders don't like having your arms up overhead, try a couple little adjustments, maybe changing where your arms are, maybe flipping your palms toward each other or up toward the sky. And if that still doesn't alleviate shoulder discomfort, bend your elbow and just do one side. But whatever you're doing, try to extend through the rim of the side body from your shoulder to your pelvis. Open up the sun rays in between your ribs and let them shine out. Relax the base of the skull. And then come back to center. Walk the hands over to the other side, reaching and lengthening. Come into the breath again and again. And then come back to center, come up onto all fours again. Start swirling things around, moving your ribs, moving your hips, maybe some cat-cows, whatever feels good. And then we're going to come to a flat back. Lift your arm up in the air, exhale and slide that shoulder down to the ground. Move the shoulders away from the ears, femur bones come back, deepen your breath. Make sure your neck is relaxed and soft. Pay attention to the back corners of that big window of your heart. So what does it feel like to open up the space around your ribs, the back spine? And then inhale, bring that arm up in the air. Place the hand down onto the ground. Second side, lifting the arm. Exhale, sliding that shoulder down. Gaze toward the floor. Deepen your breath, shoulders away from the ears, thigh bones back. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Notice the back ribs. Feel the breath. What is your neck doing? Is there softness? And then inhale and lift that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down, dog pose. Spread out your hands and feet and feel your connection to the earth. This yielding is such a beautiful way of us cultivating that sense of that we are a conduit of energy. We are not a giver or, what we give doesn't come from ourselves. It comes from the energy that moves through us. And feel that coming from the earth up into your body. Can you receive? Feel that coming in through the breath. Can you receive? Can you also give? Is there the sense that you become the flow? You become the energy movement instead of something so solid that gets stuck. Feel free to move your feet around. Zing up your legs. Feel the sense of lifting a hip or moving your shoulders around, move your neck around. Find all the little nooks and crannies of your body that need some awakening, some strengthening, some opening. Feel the deep, full side body breath. Open the ribs up. And then as you're ready, walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Feet are hip width apart. Bend your knees. Relax the base of the skull.
Feel free to wag your tail, roll your shoulders around. Get free, loosen things up, move things around. Inhale for a halfway lift. Lift some joy into your heart. Open the heart, breathe into it. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, reaching the arms to the sky, extending upward. And then cactus the arms open. Of course, modify anything you need to for shoulders that aren't feeling nice in this position. Keep the chest broad. Open things up. Exhale and round. Open the back of the heart. Imagine that your chest, your heart is this big open room. Bring some space into it. Bring your breath into it. And then exhale and round in. Take your feet hip width apart and let's just swing from side to side. Any position you want your arms to be. So they can be low, they can be mid, they can be high. Just let things become free through your rib cage, warming up the spinal movements of twisting, breathing deeply. Let the hips go with. And then come back to center. Shrug your shoulders up, big circles. So leave the arms out of it. You don't have to bring them up over your head. Just some big giant circles, feeling the shoulder blades move on the back. And then when you're ready, lift your arms up in the air. If it's comfortable, grab onto the left wrist with the right hand. Feel the extension, root into the right leg. See if you can find the gap from the ribs to the pelvis widening, opening. Feel the side body, the whole side body lengthen. Breathe. And then come back to center and come to the other side. Open the side rim of the body. Notice your head. You can rest it on your arm if your neck feels tired from doing this. Root into the feet. Feel the yielding. And then come back. Open the chest one more time and then exhale and fold. Bend your knees. Grab onto your elbows and let the weight of your arm bones kind of pull just a little bit so you can feel the ribs move away from the pelvis. Try to widen the gap in between the ribs and the hips. Take a deep breath into that space. And then relax. Step back to a lunge. Right foot's forward, left foot is back. Find a sense of extension through your heart. Broaden the collarbones. As we start to move in our warming up, pay attention to your hip flexors, your hamstrings, the back body. Just pay attention to everywhere you're opening. And remember that you're flowing energy. So as you breathe and move, see if you can yield, see if you can feel that energy is moving through you, not getting stuck within you. And I really truly believe this is one of the keys to not getting burnt out with compassion, is to feel that you are a conduit of energy moving through you instead of feeling like you are just giving everything away. Okay, that you are a constantly renewable resource of energy. Every breath you take, more comes in and your capacity to give increases. Come into a lunge. Feel the sense of your heart expanding. Reach your arms back behind you. Feel some strength. Lift your triceps a little higher than your back. Engage through your core. Try to make space from your ribs to your pelvis now. The crown and tail are long. Deep breaths in. And let's go ahead and bring your hands back to the block. Put your knee on the ground if you want, or you can keep your knee up in the air. Inhale, reach both arms to the sky. Find the extension. Lift up, no matter whether your knee is down or up. Find your breath. We're going to grab onto our wrist again. Try not to pull at the shoulder. And you can do this without, you can even do this with your hand on your hip. And just, ooh, that feels good. Everybody try that. Put your hand on your hip and open up through the side of your body. It gets into your pelvis and your ribs a little bit. Takes the shoulder out. And then come back to center. Bring your hands onto the floor. Walk your back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Extend the spine. Lift and widen the sit bones. Bring energy flow into you. Exhale and melt toward the floor. Push off your feet. Rise up. Gather up all this energy. Scoop it up. Bring it down into your heart. Pause here for a moment. Feel the yielding forces. Give yourself over to the earth. Receive back. Become the conduit. As much as you can, feel flow, feel space, feel yielding, feel energy moving, feel breath moving.
Can you think of your person? Offer your intentions. Whatever your mantra or thought was, let that flow like it's just a stick in the river that's flowing down a river. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. Exhale and melt and fold in half again. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release back down. Step your other foot back. So now our left foot is forward and our right foot is back, coming into a lunge. The way you flow, move the breath. So no matter what kind of movement your body's capable of, move the breath through the movement of the body. Big open space through your chest. Finding movement and breath. Enjoy the subtleties of what it feels like to be in your body. Know that your practice is replenishing, that this is your time to take care of you, to let energy move and replenish all of you. Come into a lunge. Take your arms straight back behind you, triceps a little higher than the spine. Feel the ribs, feel the engagement of your core, stretch your crown and tail, the shoulders move away from the ears. Feel the roots of your feet. Can you yield? Can you push down a little bit? And then with knee down onto the ground or with your knee up in the air, you decide where you want to be. Let's take our hand onto our hip. I mean, you can always bring the arm up too if you want. Feel the extension through the side of your body. Try not to compress the left lumbar spine. Feel expansion. And then come back to center. Bring your arms up to the sky. And then exhale and bring your hands down to the floor. Step back to a plank. So a very stable, structured pose. Is there a place for energy to flow? So the more you get kind of solid in the body, the more we need to pay attention to the breath. Let that energy move through you. Put your knees down if that's helpful and come all the way to the floor. Take a deep breath in. Come up to a variation of Sphinx pose. Take your forearms out a little bit. Elbows are a little forward of your shoulders. Extend the spine. Open the heart. Stretch the legs. Find your breath. Come back down. This time we're going to take our hands onto the floor and stretch up and wide. Extend through the belly. Feel the big open heart. And then exhale and release to the floor. Turn your head one side or the other. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees. Pay attention to your lumbar spine. Make sure it's in a happy place. Breathe your breath there. Put your feet down. Turn your head the other way. Pay attention to how the breath travels through your spine. Can you feel where it begins? Can you feel it travel up toward the crown and down toward the tail? Can you feel it return? Feel the back body breathe. Feel the flow of energy moving on the breath. Feel the open big space in the back of the heart, not just the front of the heart, but the back as well. All right, and then let's go ahead and come back up onto all fours. Feel free to move things around. We're going to come into Vasisthasana. So turn your right knee out, palm, knee, and left foot lined up. You can always put a block underneath your hand if you need a little more height. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Inhale and open the chest. There's lots of ways to modify this. If you want to be a little bit more assertive in your practice, feel free to take full Vasisthasana. So whatever is feeling good for your shoulders, for your body, open the breath. Shoulders away from the ears. Stretch your arm overhead. And a little arc begins to happen. Try not to compress too much through the underbelly of the pose. Reach and open the side. Try not to turn toward the floor. Open the side windows. Okay. And then relax and lower that hand down onto the ground. Cat-cow in between. Find the spine. Find the big open breath, the movement of energy. Turn your foot out. So now we're doing the opposite side.
Feel free to take Vasisthasana in all of its modifications that are right for you. You can always take your forearm on a block too if your hands don't like to be on the earth. You can lift your leg up. You can come into full Vasisthasana. Shoulders are away from the ears. Feel the expansion through your chest. Big open breath, and then when you're ready, if your arm allows, so perhaps your shoulder is not in a happy place. If that's the case, sometimes lifting your arm overhead is a little bit harder or plain than if you swing your arm in front. So you can try that, and if your shoulder still is in an unhappy place, just keep your hand on your hip or up in the air or wherever is best for your body. Deep inhales, deep exhales. And then relax and come back onto all fours. Feel free to swirl things around, move the pelvis, move the shoulders, move the head, anything that feels really good for you. All right, so we're going to take our left foot straight back behind us, lift your leg in the air, pulse a couple times, get your glutes turned on, extend through your spine, deepen your breath, and then we're going to bring our foot and cross it over to the other side. So now our left foot is crossing over to the right, square hips and shoulders, curl your toes under on the floor so your foot's down, and then we're gonna turn and look out over that foot. Stretch through the side of your body. Feel that gap between the ribs and the pelvis. Breathe there. And then come back to center. Put that knee down onto the ground, second side. Stretch the leg, your right leg up in the air. Maybe you want to pulse a couple times. If you have trouble turning the glutes on, pay attention to what's awake and alive. Find your breath, flowing breath. And we're going to cross that foot over to the other side. Hips and shoulders are square to the floor. Turn and look out over the left side of your mat. Open the right rim of the body from ribs to pelvis. Pay attention there. Make sure you're not doing weird things in your spine. See if you can feel just a lateral bend, not a weird twisty. Don't compress the lumbar spine in any way if you can help it. Keep the breath flowing. And then come back to center. Come back towards child's pose and back up again into a little bit of a back bend. So kind of a little bit more complete than just a cat-cow. Just let the spine find some movement back and forth. All right, now we're gonna come up to dog pose. I show this from the side. We're gonna do some rounding forward. So as we come up into dog pose and extend through the body, see what it feels like to round the spine forward and then reach the heart forward, collarbones broad, and then round our way back. So just feel a little ripple through your spine. Feel free to bend your knees and just moving with breath back and forth. So engaging through your core. Part of the side bending realm is getting to know your obliques a little bit. So start to find the sides of your body in strength. One more time back to dog pose when you're ready. Feel your breath in, feel your breath away. Walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Fold, relax your head, feel the flow of energy. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, lifting the arms, find your breath. Exhale and trace down through the center of the body. Again, pause here for a moment. Feel the flow. And bring your arms down at your sides. Soften your knees. Keep the chest broad and expansive. So notice where you tend to collapse. See if you can find some stout heart that's free and open. Let's go ahead and step wide on our mat. So turn sideways. Our legs are wide. You can grab a block if you know you like blocks for standing poses. Turn your right foot out. We're going to come into Parsva Konasana first. So bring your elbow onto your knee. Notice if this hip pushes forward. See if you can keep the femur bone moving back. Extend through the side of your body. So once again, if sometimes this angle of your arm can be problematic for the shoulder, sometimes swinging it in front can be a little easier. If you find that you can't lift your arm overhead, just keep your hand on your hip. Extend the spine. Feel your breath moving. Notice if when you do this pose and you're trying to open up that rim, if you crunch the underbelly, find length in both sides of your spine. Move the shoulder away from the ear. Find the big open heart space. Full 360. Create that open room in your breath. Can you yield into the floor? Can you give and receive? Feel that flowing energy through your body. Notice where you tend to get stuck. Where do you lock? Where do you bind? Where are you sticky? Where energy just kind of locks in on you. Okay, and then inhale and come on up. There's a difference between steady strength and stuck energy. So when you come into Virabhadrasana 2 now, arms can be wherever you want them to be, so they don't have to be out to the side. Find it again. So this is a very stable, steady posture, and you can be up higher. There's no reason why you have to go deep into your lunge in this pose. But when you do find your place, is there energy flow or do you feel locked? So unlock whatever is locked. Scan your body, find your sticky places, and yield there. Bring the breath. Big open heart space, huge chamber in your heart and lungs. Huge room, lots of room. Slide the hand down, open that side rim of the body again. Take a deep breath here. And then come on up and find triangle pose. Blocks are nice. If you want to block, you can put your hand on your leg. Same hand can be on the hip. You don't have to lift your arm in the air. There's always ways to modify for shoulders. Release the ears away, or the shoulders away from the ears. Yield into your feet. Find your feet, both feet, the back foot too. Deep breaths. Open up in all the sticky places. Where do you kind of lock? Where's your vulnerable place that you hold on too tight when things get tough? Part of developing these compassion muscles is really learning where you get stuck and learning how to be present for flow. All right, come on up and let's turn the other way. Turn your feet and find Parsvakonasana. So remember, your pose can be here. You can even have a hand on a knee. Whoever said you had to go really deep in the posture, and you can go deep in the posture. So you do you. Where do you want your arm to end up? See what's swinging in front of you instead of overhead does to the rib cage. Find both sides of the spine. Shoulders slide away from the ears. Feel the movement of your feet. Yield into the earth. Find the strength of your glutes, of your legs. Can you find strength and stability, but still feel that surrender of flow? So this balance of effort and this surrender is really key. Can you stay present for both sensations, where you're strong and stable, able to hold a lot of different things, but letting things move through you and not attaching? This is the gift of our practice. I think one of the most powerful gifts of a yoga practice is learning to embody strength and ease simultaneously. Find your breath. Feel the energy flow through you. Okay, and then as you're ready, come up and out of the pose. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Where do you want your hips to be? Do you need to rotate a little bit? Do you need to be a little higher with your knee? Do you need to be a little lower? Find where you are. Put your arms in the place that makes them happiest. Find your breath. Flow through the strength. So there's stability here, but don't let it get stuck. Unlock. Find the breath and bring the breath into the locked places. Discover ease through yielding, through breath. And then as you're ready, Reach that arm to the sky. Find the extension of the side of you. Open the breath there. And then come into triangle pose. Stretch your arm, bring your hand onto a leg or a block. Maybe your hand stays on your hip. Maybe your arm goes in the air. Shoulders are away from the ears. Unlock your joints. If knees tend to push back, if hip joints tend to get real locked, just see what you can do to soften the joint spaces, let the breath and energy move through your joints. Bring yourself into the yielding of the earth. Feel your feet. Find the flow of energy through your body. And if you struggle with that, if you're like, I can't feel energy, you can feel your breath. That's energy. So start there. All right, let's go ahead and come on up. Turn to the long edge of your mat. Come back to dog pose. Lengthen through your sides here. Take some deep inhales and some deep exhales. Feel your knees bend and stretch the side bodies open again. All right, let's come down onto our knees. Find a little bit of a cat-cow if it feels good to do so. Anything that feels good. And then stretch your feet back to a plank. So once again, feeling the flow of energy through your body. Obviously, there's a lot of strength involved in this pose, but see if you can have physical strength and energetic flow. Maybe it's something as simple as relaxing your tongue that can be a trigger for developing ease. Come down to the floor, however is best for you, and let's find any back bend that gives you the most amount of ease and spaciousness in your heart space. So whatever that is for you, find your way in, breathe your way in, exhale, and melt your way out. Come up onto all fours, pause here for a moment for some movement if your body needs that, otherwise right back to child's pose. So discover what feels best in your back. Arms can be at your sides or out in front. Deep breath into the back of the heart. All right, let's go ahead and come on up and grab a blanket. You can use a bolster too if you have a bolster. You can use 2 blankets if you want more height. So you get to decide how much stacking you want underneath your hip for this. We're gonna have the pelvis, the side of your pelvis, your hip joint. So not your waist, your hip joint itself. I get stuck with room here in my house. So if you can have your arms, I am on my couch because that's where my arm has to be. But if you're able to stretch your arm, and actually if your shoulder bothers you, this is a really nice place for it to land. All right, so stack. And if you feel like you want more height, stick another blanket or pillow underneath you. Find your breath and open up the sides of the rib cage. Deep inhale. Full, complete exhale. Okay, and then we're going to come on to our back. Have a pause in a bridge. Sacrum is on the bolster. Bring your knees toward your chest for a moment. Okay, just let your back rest. And then we're going to come to the other side. So if one blanket's not enough, you can always modify and put more height underneath you. Okay, we're going to slide your hip joint is on the bolster. The arms are overhead. The legs are stacked. You can always put a block between your calves as well. Feel the sense of stacking shoulders, ribs, and pelvis over each other instead of rolling forward or backward. Deep breaths in and away. And just notice, where can you get the breath to go? So especially if you're pretty low, if you're only on one blanket, this may not feel like a giant pose of stretching, or maybe it does. Maybe it feels like a real giant pose. But what's there? What do you feel in your psoas, in your side body, in your ribs, in your back? Breathe into all this space. All right, and then as you're ready to come out of that, one more time, we're going to come into bridge pose. Okay. If you have a block, you can always add a block or take away the blanket and just put a block underneath you. Get just a little bit higher, depending on what your original height was. Okay, so I'm going to remove the blanket and get on my block, but you do you, so whatever height's going to be good. Open the chest. See if you can slide open the heart a little bit, finding the breath here. Put your arms anywhere you want them to be. So the block is under your sacrum, not in your low back. It's across the pelvis, supporting your pelvis, either on the low height or the middle height. If you're going to go higher than that, you want to stack 2 blocks. Don't just put 1 block on the narrow edge. Deep belly breaths. Open the heart. What's here to open? Can you feel the flow of energy? Notice when we don't have a block on, we're purposely not doing heart bench where there's a block under your chest. See if you can keep the heart space open, the chest broad and free, and feel how the sides of your ribs, the top of your chest, the back of your chest, all are able to move, creating that 360 big open room of the heart. Relax your neck. Feel any stuck places, any rigid places. Let the breath flow. Return back to your mantra for this person that you are holding in your heart today. All right, now you might need to adjust. We're going to bring our knees toward our chest. So you might go lower on the block. If you're high, you might want to adjust where the block is. Just feel a little traction, and maybe the block's uncomfortable and you'd rather stick a blanket underneath your pelvis. All of it's good. So whatever is working for you. Deep breaths in and away. And then as we're ready, we're going to lift our legs straight up in the air. So little leg up the wall without a wall. And now feel the energy flow toward your center body. Okay. See what you're feeling in your legs as gravity kind of changes things, changes direction of flow. Can you still keep your heart broad and open? Are you still able to breathe and to be yielding? And then bring your knees back to the chest. Take your feet down onto the floor. Lift your hips up. Scoot that block out of there. Reverse pigeon pose or pigeon pose. Let's just take a moment to make sure our hips are open. We're going to sit in a moment. So let's just get our hips prepared for some sitting. Feel free to rock a little bit in this pose. Feel free to be still. However you best move into reverse pigeon or pigeon pose. Keep the spine long, still finding that spacious, open room of the chest. Notice where your stuck places are in a posture like this. Is there energy moving through the muscles of your face? Are you holding tension unnecessarily? How's your breath? And then unwind the legs. If you're in pigeon pose, switch sides. Other leg is coming in. And rock. And just see what it feels like to move a little bit until you feel like you settle. And then you can keep moving. You can stay still. Just make sure you're breathing and that your spine is not contracting in on itself. So stay open and spacious. Deep inhale, deep exhale. And then unwind the legs. Put your feet on the ground. Let's do a simple twist. Hips to the right, knees up, drop them left. Big open breath. Big open exhale. And then pick up your knees. Scooch the other way. Knees over to the side. Find your breathing. Do you have restriction twisting one way a little bit more than the other? Where do you hold your body? Where are you free? And then go ahead and come back up. So lie down for just a moment, and you're going to decide whether you want to do this meditation sitting up or lying down. So the answer comes from what's best for you. So learning how to replenish you, it's like putting the mask on yourself before others, right? So we can't be a conduit of giving if we are stuck. So we need to have whatever is moving in our body most freely. So that could be lying down for you. If you're going to lie down, be comfortable, support underneath your knees, put yourself in any position you want. If you're going to be sitting, same thing, support underneath your pelvis, support your knees, whatever position is best for you. Once you figure out where you want to be in space, take a moment to rest here. If there's anything your body needs, if you need to kind of curl in on yourself or do any type of movement to be at ease, do that. And as you settle in, just pay attention to the breath. Feel the flow of energy moving through you. Become the conduit again. Do you have energy moving through your spine? Is your breath free? Are your side ribs able to move? Is your belly soft and receiving? Scan your body for the ways that you become the conduit of breath and energy. Let yourself become easeful. With the Tonglen meditation, anytime reaching outward to others becomes restrictive or tightening in your body, that's your cue, or in your mind, that's your cue to return the Tonglen back to yourself. And once again, this is not about flexing muscles like I can take care of the whole world and not myself. The self is where it begins. So at any point you feel restriction, contraction, compression, fear, pulling away, any of those kinds of things, you bring yourself back to caring for self. So Tonglen is just a very simple meditation of breathing in the suffering of others and breathing out your well-being. So you can bring words to this if you want. May all beings be happy and free. May, you choose. I'm not going to give you many cueing. Find what's right for you. So let's start with ourselves. Take a deep breath in and breathe in any pain or suffering you are holding today. Breathe out a little mantra, a visualization, a beautiful image from nature, the presence that you felt in the beginning of class, that nugget of what presence felt like to you. There's so many different ways of cultivating that outward giving. Could just be the open heart space of sending your love forth, conjuring up that emotional sensation in the heart space. So breathing in your own suffering, breathing out your love and compassion, and whatever
way that is of your choosing. Move beyond you to this person that you kind of honed in on in the beginning of class. Breathe in the suffering that you know this person is feeling, or imagine this person is feeling. Breathe out your love, compassion, your mantra, your image, your presence, whatever it is, breathe it to them. Every breath in, taking in, flowing the suffering into you. Every breath out, flowing the compassion out of you. Remember, you're a conduit. You're not holding suffering and pocketing it in your body or mind or heart. You're letting the energy flow through you. Use your breath as the alchemy to turn suffering into love. Move beyond this person to a group of people. Maybe it's the people who love this person. Maybe it's a community around you. So just broaden to a little more expansive, a little more people, whoever that is, whoever's coming to you. Breathe in the collective suffering. Breathe out your love, your compassion, your mantra, your presence, your image, whatever it is. Be the flow, be the breath, be the energy moving. Can you be present enough to hold the suffering? And if not, if you retract away from that, bring it back to you. Bring back to holding your own suffering and feeding yourself compassion and love. There's no judgment about how far out you can expand. If you're ready for even broader energy, expand out maybe to other places around the planet that you're thinking of that are suffering. The people are suffering, the beings are suffering. Maybe you're so expansive that you're holding the whole world. Breathing in, breathing out, transforming the energy flow through your body, through your heart. Holding that tender, vulnerable, compassionate space of presence for someone's pain. Breathing out your well wishes, your love, your care. Let's bring it to the whole planet. You can kind of visualize yourself looking at the planet from above, or maybe from deep inside the planet, or maybe just from your own mind. Let's hold the whole earth, all the beings on the planet, humans, animals. Hold all the beings, the collective suffering the whole world is feeling. Breathe out and encompass, hold the whole earth in your love. Let's take a deep breath in. Feel energy flowing through you. All your breath out. Let things go. Learn to let things go. Another deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And find your way into Shavasana as you're ready. Let's rest for a couple of minutes on our back. Be replenished by the earth. As you lie down, feel that you are giving yourself over. You're cradled and embraced, cocooned by the energy of the earth. Give your limbs over, give your spine over, give your breath over. Melt as best as you can. Let's begin to deepen our breath. Come into a state of ease in the body. Don't move yet. Be the flow. Feel energy move through you. Access the ways in which you yield and feel flow. Feel a waterfall of replenishment, that you have everything you need. That everything you need to be strong and healthy and capable of being the light in the world that you are is renewed within you right now. Let's find our way into some movement, stretching your body, waking back up a little bit if you slipped into deep places. Stretch and open. Eventually coming onto your side and using your arms to lift yourself upright. Place your palms together at your heart, and one more time, send your energy, your love forth to whoever you dedicated your class to in the beginning. Namaste. And I just want to say that Tonglen, you can, at a red light, offer it to the homeless person. You can do it very quickly and easily in just one little moment when you see suffering around you. It doesn't have to be a big, long